I first met Charles the first summer I was here. I worked as an orderly in one of the hospitals, Menorah Medical Center here. Charles was a surgical tech and physician assistant. He worked for quite a few different surgeons throughout his life. And he happened to be working there. And after a couple of days, I was going up to get a patient. He was there in the hallway with some of the nurses, and I just wanted to get past and do my thing because I really preferred to just, do my work and leave. And as I walked past, he said, "Aren't you going to say hello to me?" And I kind of turned to him and I said, "Hi." Little did I know at that time that he was going to completely change my life. He's the most incredible person I've ever had the luck and privilege to know. That first picture that you saw, I love that picture because with Charles smiling and what was in it, and you could see in his eyes that he was really happy to see whoever was taking that picture, because that's the look he would have when he saw somebody he loved and was happy to see. So really, I didn't have a full concept of what it was like, what unconditional love was like, until I met him. And he showed that in everything that he said and did, he always did for others, usually without them knowing about it and seldom even mentioning it. It wasn't until sometime in his 40s that he started playing tennis with me. I mean, for most people that's a little bit late in life, but I was surprised at how good he got. As a matter of fact, he got quite talented, and I'm sure he would have been able to do so much more if he had started earlier. But that became one of the great loves of his life, and both playing it and watching it on TV. And he had his players that he followed all the time. Charles really savored every moment of life. He was grateful to the Lord for every day that he got. Even when he was, last few years, when he was physically unable to do a lot, I never heard him complain. And he always started out his day grateful and ended just as grateful to God. One of the things in the wintertime that we like to do, whenever there was a snowstorm, we'd go out and we'd shovel, of course, our drive, and then we'd do our neighbors. It was just something that we liked to do, and we felt that was part of what it meant to be a neighbor. Later on, last couple of years, Charles wasn't able to do that, physical problems. But I continued to do that, basically for both of us. Maybe a couple of weeks after he had passed away, I got ready to go out. It had been a snowy day, and I went out to start shoveling the path, and noticed that my drive was done, the drive and the walkway. And that surprised me because that had never happened before. And I looked up and down the street and I didn't see anybody else's that was done, so I was wondering who had done that. Finally, I noticed at the top of the street that there was this one house that had been done. Some of our neighbors, John and Sophie. So I emailed Sophie and said, "Do you know anything about John maybe shoveling my path?" And I said, I really hope that Charles had something to do with it. And so she said that she wasn't sure that he might have, but that she really liked the idea that Charles might have had something to do with it, because she said that Charles's love inspired others to do good.
You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angels. May you find some some comfort here. In the arms of the angels, may you find some comfort here.
Robert, I was really happy and honored that you asked me to say a few words about Charles and any memory that I had of him, which was really kind of challenging to come up with just one, because I've known both of you for 15, 16 years. So, there were many memories that came to my mind. But the one that stood out the most for me was this little routine that Charles and I had on Sunday morning. He would look for me at the beginning of the service so we could have a hug and a quick check-in. And if I didn't make it around to finding him before the service, he always made sure to find me at the door on the way out when you guys would pass by. And if I missed seeing him at the door too, by Sunday afternoon, I was getting a text or a message from him saying how much he missed just that quick check-in that we tried to have every Sunday. So one of the things, though, he did in the last few years was he had a routine of, instead of taking the chance of missing that connection and that hug, he would stand in the middle of the aisle, right there in the middle where you guys sat. And he would stand in the middle of the aisle because he knew, even if it was at the last minute, I would come down that middle aisle on my way to my seat. That became really something I looked forward to, and I know he did too. And so Sunday morning will always be a little part of that for me, even though Charles isn't here anymore. I will still remember that on Sunday mornings, him standing there in the middle of the aisle just waiting so that he didn't miss that hug and that quick check-in that both of us looked forward to. I loved Charles and love you very much. You have been and still are a very important part of my life and a very important part of the life of CSL. So thank you so much. I love you a lot. Thanks again.
I really like what Martin Luther King said about a person not being judged by the color of their skin, but on the content of their character, because Charles characterized everything that was good and noble in a man. And there was no doubt about that. My sister-in-law, Liz, sent me a letter maybe a month or two ago and said that Charles had come to her in spirit. He decided that it'd be easier to talk to her than me, I guess. I can be a little bit emotionally, fragile, but basically what she told me was that it was pulled from the Song of Solomon in the Bible, and it was paraphrased. And what he said was that he said, "A love longer than life and stronger than death."
Hi, my name is Natasha Ria Elskari, and I met Charles at the Center for Spiritual Living, and we just had an instant connection to which I referred to him as my boyfriend. And each Sunday I would make sure I got over to him, or he would make sure he got over to me, and I would always kiss him on the forehead and on both his cheeks. One of the wonderful and beautiful memories I have of Charles is how he always wanted to have a goal for the week, things that he wanted to accomplish, things that he was proud of accomplishing, and how much he deeply loved Robert. I would often tell him that I cannot wait to have a love like the love that you all have, and that they really inspired me. And so one day we were talking, and as his health started to shift a little, he was like, listen, I need to be able to make love. I'm not trying to not be able to please my man. And I just thought to myself, this is how big and how grand love is. And so we just created a beautiful bond. He always asked about my children. Always, always, always. And he loved my honey barbecue chicken wings. So, Charles, I love you. I feel your energy and essence right in this space all the time. And I am so grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you, Robert, as well. And know that you are loved, and that you get forehead and cheek kisses anytime you want them. Peace and love.
Hi there. My name is Kate, and I just love Charles and Robert. I met both of them in our spiritual community at Center for Spiritual Living, and I don't know how to describe years ago when I walked in and just saw these two men who just emanated love. Charles and I hit it off immediately, and my Sunday simply wasn't complete without a hug from him. He would stand there and wait for me to come in, and if for some reason I was delayed in getting over to him, he would certainly let me know when he came over to find me. He was equally warm with my mom, and she has always looked forward to seeing Charles. I had the distinct joy and pleasure of growing in friendship with him, and would go to the house and pick him up when it was a little harder for him to get around, and he and I would go and have lunch together. And what an amazing opportunity to just sit and have fellowship with him and hear stories of his life and talk about Robert and the amount of love that he has for him. And it was an amazing thing to see that relationship. It was, I think, 2 years ago that a handful of us from the church, with Robert's help, surprised Charles. They weren't going to have Christmas decorations. It was just too much for him to handle. And we went over and we Santa bombed their house and put up a tree with all the decorations and garland all over the fireplace, and in their magnificent home that they built together, and was just filled with joy. And that was such an amazing opportunity to touch him the way he has touched so many of us. I miss Charles every day. I miss his hugs. And I miss seeing him. He shared with me how worried he was about Robert when I went to see him the last couple of times. And we had some free time together. And I assured him that our love for Robert would go on, and does go on. And the amazing thing is that Charles's love, his personality, his spirit is so strong that I know he's still with us. I feel him all the time. And I love him so much. And I love you, Robert, so much. What an incredible blessing he is and was to the world.
Some friend of mine told me that Charles was worried about what would happen to me after he was gone. That's so typically Charles, because he would think of somebody else before he'd think of himself. I think that he didn't realize that for 41 years, I got to watch him and watch how he dealt with life and what he did in so many different situations. And so it was that was 41 years, and so I learned a lot.
My name is Charles Howard Williams, and I've been coming to CSL for the last maybe 8 years. And one of my fondest remembrance is one Sunday before we moved into this building, Dr. Chris Michaels was giving a lesson, and if my memory is correct, it was on the virtues of joy. And his statement that affected me so much was that nothing or no one take away your joy. I have remembered that, and it has made me stronger. We all face difficulties every day, every week, months, whatever. But if you keep your joy, you can get through anything. It is the one teaching in CSL that I'll always remember, and I really appreciate and thank him for giving me that.
So if by chance you happen to run into me or write me or talk to me, don't ever think that you can't mention Charles. Charles is not, he's not a sorrow I want to forget ever. He's a joy that I'm going to hold in my heart. I wanted to thank everybody who loved Charles and was in his life. It made a huge difference to him. I can't even tell you how much the difference it made to him. So he and I are both grateful for that.
When it all comes true, just the way you planned, it's funny but the best dream. It's a quiet thing, when you hold the world in your trembling hand, you'd think you'd hear a choir sing. It's a quiet thing. There are no exploding fireworks. Where's the roaring of the crowds? Maybe it's the strange new atmosphere way up here among the clouds. I don't hear the drums, I don't hear the band. The sounds, I'm told, such moments bring. Happiness comes in on tiptoe. It's a